sometimes people have what it takes, but they haven't recognized it yet.
Morning.
Just go forward.
Good morning, you guys. Welcome, everybody. My name is
What you need to do is be that person that's different, and it's bigger than you think.
Friday,
Rise from the ashes and fly like the
appreciate you guys being here. Now, just a couple of quick things. We had this challenge. If you didn't get a chance to watch it yet, go back and watch Friday. We talked about, building out a vision board and how those work and what you can do. And so we started, I think we've had one person start to share inside the Skype challenge group. If you've already completed it, we'd love to see it. Even the works in progress, guys, it's kind of cool to see that process. So looking forward throughout this week to see more and more vision boards shared with the group. Would love to get some of those. If you haven't seen it yet, go back and watch it. Also, last week we did on Thursday, we had Melissa in talking about, she's from Brain Train Centers and neurofeedback therapy. Absolutely amazing call. I'm already setting up, and I know a few of you have already set up an initial consultation with her, which is pretty cool. We have a couple of people going to Georgia, one of her facilities there. Some people are out, heading to the San Diego and Vegas location. So really cool. Appreciate that, guys. Support her. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do the initial here in Orlando, though, and then have her run the stuff for me. So anyway, what I want to go over tomorrow is actually going to be a little bit more about how our brains age and other things we can do to maintain their health, right? And guys, this is important if you are, in your 50s and 60s, especially, but even if you're younger in your 20s and 30s and early 40s, brain health is incredibly important, right? We all have somewhere in our family. My grandmother had Alzheimer's. It was one of the things that really just kind of dictated the last, 4, 5, 6 years of her life, but also the life of my family as we cared for her. My dad and his brain, talking with other people that, brain health is incredibly important. So we're going to be talking about, and hey, over 75 as well, my man. We've got a few in that range. So we're going to be talking a little bit about brain health and aging and what happens and what we can do to work on little things to improve in a number of different categories. So that's kind of tomorrow. So make sure that you're here. Now, the reason is, and part of the reason we're going into, and I'll be posting some affirmations later today, and hopefully you guys are doing daily affirmations and you're making this a bigger part of your life and you're looking at and understanding how important your brain is to how you go through your day-to-day. The biggest weapon that we have in our lives, the best tool that we have in our lives is our brain. And there isn't even a close second, right? The reason we talk about being healthy physically is because it helps not just feel better and you move around and you've got more energy, but it helps your brain. It helps you think more clearly, right? If I take care of those things and I don't have as much cortisol affecting my emotions, which are in my brain, if I'm able to think more clearly, all of these things, your brain is the most important tool that you have. If you're wondering why you're struggling physically to get in shape, if you're wondering why you're struggling with it, it's what's going on in your brain. So there's a reason that we talk about all of this. Now, I was listening to a gentleman named David Goggins recently. Any of you heard of David Goggins? A few of you probably have. So,
oh yeah.
So I have talked about James Lawrence, Iron Cowboy. I've talked about Jocko Willink. I actually have, one of the magazines I'm pulling some stuff from my vision board right here has Jocko on the cover. I'd put David Goggins in that same category of an extreme, not just an extreme athlete, but someone who has an extreme mindset when it comes to what we're capable of doing and achieving based solely on our mind. Now, maybe one day we get a little bit deeper into what, where David came from with that. He was a Navy SEAL as well, but before he became a Navy SEAL, he was a guy that weighed, he's 300 pounds, and he was talking about how he used to live his life and how hard he was pushing himself. And here's what happens a lot of times with any business that, I've been working not just with partners here, but in other businesses and people that own businesses where I work with the digital agency side, and we're talking to them and they talk about, how hard I work. And, I put this, look, a lot of people say, I'm willing to put in the work, and that's great. But how much work are you really willing to put in, depending on where you're looking to get? How important is your dream? How much clarity do you have on that dream? And what are you willing to do? Before I started working online. And I've talked about this before, but I was doing cleaning and restoration. And a lot of times I was putting in those 8, 10, 12, 16-hour days, 18-hour days sometimes. I was talking with my fiance yesterday about a lot of times I would leave home on a Monday and I'd come back Friday night, or I'd come back Saturday. And when it wasn't a storm, or before we built the company to actually have some employees, there was a good chunk of that time that I was by myself. And so I would get into a big old truck with all my equipment, machines and everything in back, and I would drive to whatever location I happened to be heading towards for that week. And so I'm in Orlando, I'm in Central Florida. So let's say South Florida. And I drive down to Miami and Fort Lauderdale. And for a week, that's where I would be. And the hotel and this is before smartphones. And so I would show up on a job site, unroll my hoses to 250 feet, and I'd be in this commercial space that was empty. A lot of times there were churches, but let's say a 20 to 25,000 square foot church, somewhere on average, that's about what I would do. And it would be just me in this building. And I would pull out the hoses and I would stretch them out and I would flip on the machines and get everything hooked up and I would get started. And I would spend 8, 10, 12, 14, 16 hours alone in this building, just me, just working, moving chairs back and forth so I could clean where those chairs were, cleaning underneath pews, moving desks around. Every single square inch of floor in that building, whether it was tile, carpet, or whatever, every single square inch had to be cleaned all day. And I was working hard. But I remember I was getting paid. When I first started that gig, $1,600 a month, $400 a week, right? But it wasn't even really $400 a week. It was $1,600 a month. So like if I had one of those months where it was 5 weeks, well, I just didn't get paid for it because that was what I had worked out, right? As far as my base salary. And then I remember, year two, I remember at one point my big raise was getting up to $2,500 a month, which was $30,000 a year. And I thought, man, this is great. I'm really making it. And then when you start to break down hourly rate, and I'm thinking, I'm making less, way less than minimum wage here. What the hell is going on? This is crazy. But hey, I was working hard. I was willing to work. Guys, maybe you're making more than that. Maybe it's double or triple or 4 or 5 times as much, but you're putting in the hard work and you're wondering why you're not getting to that next level. So much of it's here. Part of it's what you believe you're capable of. And for a long time, it was knowing I was capable of more, but figuring, hey, I'm working hard and certainly something's going to give at some point. But it didn't, because I wasn't truly pushing myself into what I was capable of. When you look at physically trying to get yourself into better shape, when you look at, with this, figuring things out, learning how to do the marketing, learning how to post content that engages, just being consistent with it. We try it a few times and then we just kind of give, hey, I'm working hard, I'm putting in the effort, and then we give up on it. But what happens with your mind, your mind knows when you're in the gym and you're actually pushing yourself. Now, obviously, I fully think it's better to go and do something light and push yourself a little bit than not at all. But you're capable of more. You're capable of more with what you're doing here. Your brain knows the difference when you're truly trying and when you're not. And when you refuse to give up, and this is where the power of the mind really comes in. This is one of the things David Goggins and Jocko and all of these guys really push on. You're capable of more. You're able to redefine whatever your impossible is. Like Iron Cowboy always talks about that, his book, Redefine Impossible. What Jocko talks about, going beyond where, you feel you like getting rid of the excuses and just doing it. And when you do something over and over and over again with the intent to overcome, with a little bit of that self-belief. And so this is where we're tying in those affirmations. But when you push yourself in that manner, eventually your brain's going to say, well, damn it, he's not going to give up. I got to figure out a way to do this. I got to figure it out. All of the excuses that I keep throwing at him, he's just saying, nope, I'm going to do it again. Nope, get back on the treadmill, get back on the Stairmaster. No, he's not going to give me the sweets that I want. Nope, he's not. Damn it, he's sitting down trying to write this out again. And look, you've got to figure out how you learn. You've got to figure out how your body moves. You got to figure out how, who you are. to be more effective with this, because the way that I may learn may not be your way, right? Just hearing it over and over may not be the best way. Sitting down and trying to write out your headline and your caption after just reading a few things may not work. You may need to listen to a video. You may need to write out the notes. You may need to be someone that has to start to teach somebody else before you officially kind of capture it yourself. But you keep pushing it so your brain doesn't have the excuses, isn't able to, put up the walls, and eventually you'll break through. Eventually you will. Your brain is going to figure it out. The most amazing thing that we have in this world is our brains. You just got to believe it. You got to give it some value. You've got to take care of it. You've got to do what's necessary to make your brain that tool, right? So we've been talking about the conscious and subconscious. We've been talking about the hardware and the software. We've compared it to fertile ground and the fruits and the trees. I've used every single metaphor that I think I can. The point is that there are things that can happen with your brain and your mind that you can adjust. There is control that you have in your hands. There's power that you have in your hands to make it a more fertile soil, to improve the hardware, to rewrite the software, to make it the tool that functions at a higher level than you currently are. Now, some of us have some issues where, you may need a therapist once in a while. You may need a best friend to talk to on occasion. You may need groups and mentors and everything else. But the bottom line is, at the end of the day, it's your brain. And you are the one that has to make that adjustment. And that can be scary for some. It can be empowering for others. But it's just the reality. And I think one of the biggest realities all of us need to understand is that we have that power for ourselves. And this is the year that you need to take advantage of it. Some of you guys put that into, you started that process this last year. Some of you started the process a little bit before it. Hopefully you're picking up some momentum. You're grabbing some speed. You're starting to feed the fire a little bit. But now's the time to do it, ladies and gentlemen. Get up and make it happen. You understand how powerful your brain is. Okay. I will give you the tools throughout this year to make yourself better. That's my mission. Okay. To make your business better, to help you there, to make you healthier, to give you a pathway, to help you find something. I'm going to keep searching for different ways of getting down the same damn road, because some of you guys are going to be able to hop into a hot rod. You're going to grab it and it's just going to go. Some of you guys are going to be looking at the people in the hot rod and you're getting on a bike and you're going to be frustrated that they're in the hot rod. Meanwhile, someone else is on their hands and knees starting to crawl. One way or another, we're all going to go down this road together. That's my mission this year, is to help as many people as possible improve. But ultimately, ladies and gentlemen, it is in your hands. So grab that baton and run with it. Okay. On that note, I think I've run out of metaphors for the day. So join us tomorrow. Work on your business.
Sometimes people have what it takes, but they haven't recognized it.
And brain go or brain age.
So what do you need to do?
How do you stand out?
So what you need to do is be that person that's different and it's bigger than you think.
Rise from the ashes, and I like the Phoenix as that you are. Love you guys.